And welcome to part 2 of the obituary of Charles Andrew KRUEGER, and I'm going to tie in right off the bat. I finished up the first part telling you about that weird jacket thing and stuff, the jacket game, the love-hate thing. And I want to get into talking about his real character and why it was such a, it's why he has no friends and stuff like that. It ties in, I'm going to start off right off the bat with how it ties into the corruption of this county. At one point in time, like Charlie lost his ass in the Wall Street crash of, I think it was spring of '69. I was there and stuff. I was there for the morning of the margin call. Trust me. It was, because Wall Street opens an hour, but, opens pretty early and stuff like that. Well, opens 9 or 10. And so by the time Wall Street opened up, we were, I think, just finished breakfast in Belmont. And the Dow Jones had dropped 10%, 30 points or so. It was from around 300 down to 270. And just margin call wiped all his cash out. He thought he was a brilliant Wall Street investor. No, Charles, you weren't. And stuff. You lost your ass, and then a few months later, your wife kicked you out the house as soon as I left. Me, I was the buffer that kept that marriage afloat for another year beyond its normal, its real. And so in the years following that, he was, until he got some money. I think he got money from his wife, honestly, to start up his first liquor and deli store in Concord, not Clayton, where he died and lived and died. And he was tight on money. In the years following, he used to come back down here and he would stay, I think, with old Dude Watson and stuff like that. Was probably why Dude first chummed up to me and stuff like that here recently. I didn't know he's such a tiny little guy, but anyway, Charles always had like these tiny little men friends, but then again, when you're good size, other men are going to be smaller anyway. But in the years following that period where he was really broke ass, and he could have actually fixed it, he would come back to this county and he'd go like, "Hey, could you cash a check for me?" With some of the local people and stuff like that. And he would consistently write them a $500 check on an account that was dead. It had no money in it. And he wrote them hot checks. I've had many of local men go like, "Hey, you know where Charlie lives?" and stuff like that. I've been looking for him because I'm still holding one of his $500 checks. He just assumed that they were willing to pay $500 for his autograph. Which he, like me, I've never been much of one for giving autographs. And I've never asked anybody for an autograph, never asked my picture to be taken with somebody. It's anyway. So, see, that's part of the Caldwell, Texas, and Burleson County corruption thing, is that if it were you or me, we'd be going to, once those hot check is a felony. And once it got above $1,000 between one or more parties and stuff like that, that's another felony. But do you think, any of these people were going to, they know that the DA would just, ignore, do you think the sheriff's going to bust Charlie KRUEGER? Come on, get real. It ain't going to happen. Stuff like that. It's, let's get into some of his relationships, how he used to fuck over people. One of the guys who was a real good friend of him always was a guy named Bill Butler in Redwood City, California, on the 5th Avenue garage in Redwood City. He hunted, he pretty much, after decimating the mountain lion and bear population of Arkansas, he moved to California and did it there. The state of California eventually hired him to actually dart them and radio collar them to bring their numbers back up to 2,000. But Charlie was always, standing him up and doing other shit and stuff like that. Not, and one of the people that was in that crowd, and but Bill tolerated it forever, because he was just, it's, I think it was Charlie, used to take his vehicles there and actually Bill Butler used to do all the modifications for the NARC cars in San Mateo County and stuff. See, this story could go on for a long time. I want to tell you one of the real typical stories is, and I should preface it with the fact that when I was living with Coach Jack Lamar Lewis in Belmont and stuff like that, everybody always said that the KRUEGER kids were the best behaved in school like that, and I was always called the good kid or the best of them. And oh gosh, I really hate my complexion. I have no idea where all that. Anyway, Charlie was so angry at me and stuff like that because I didn't back him up in the divorce or anything like that. He had nothing to back up. He was really bad behaved. I'm witness to the fact that actually that his wife wasn't cheating around or anything like that. He was the one. He was the cheat. He was the philanderer. He was the one who was financially irresponsible and just abusive and stuff and negligent and all those things. And Charles, I'm really glad you're gone. I don't really have to ever, and now you owe me the way you owe so many people. Let's talk about a buddy of Charlie's that was really loyal to him and cost him dearly, although part of it was kind of his own. Oh, what I was going to say was that when I was living with Jack Lamar Lewis, Charlie would get drunk, and when the bars would close down at 3 o'clock in the morning, when he'd, it was real obvious that because Charles took me to, repeatedly to I actually had some treatment there at the 49er training camp in Redwood City, California, and stuff like that. The drug lockers are not locked. They're just wide open. They're just cabinets. The players can go in there and get anything they want anytime they want and stuff like that. And it's pretty obvious that Charles was taking, all the pain relief and all the amphetamines or whatever else. And early in life, he clearly took a human growth hormone. That's, it's very rare that a person, when they're, 21, 22, 23, all of a sudden grows an extra inch and puts on 70 pounds of muscle. You really can't do that without human growth hormone. He was one of the first to take it, back around 58 when he broke his arm. And this is a story that few people know about Charlie, but I know because I was, a guest in Dick O'Rourke's house in LaPorte, California, in the Plumas National Forest. The O'Rourke family is actually mentioned in a National Geographic article about the gold country of California. And actually, I was hanging around. I was actually doing a long stretch of the Pacific Crest Trail. This was right after my divorce, separation from my wife and stuff. Good woman. You won't really hear me put her down much. But I arrived. I was just going to visit for overnight, and then he was beginning to cut Christmas trees, and he goes, help out. I'll pay you and stuff like that. I said, no, I don't know. I got money and stuff like that. I says, you just pay for all the booze and all the steaks and stuff. And I said, sure. And so one evening he told me the story about how Charlie called him. It was one of those. Charlie, as I said, he used to call me up and just cuss me out. He asked, actually the phone would ring in the Lewis's bedroom, and then I'd be sent to the phone in the kitchen and dining area and stuff like that. And I would just stand there going, for 20 or 30 minutes, and he got through with his rage and ranting. This is the Charlie KRUEGER that you people really, most of you people in Caldwell and Burleson County never got to see. what a raging asshole he was. What a liar and what a, drug addict and stuff like that. Y'all never got to see that side of him. Some of y'all did. Man, that's why you're no longer friends with him and stuff like that. But he would just rant and rave, and I'd just go, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, because, I just could have hung up and stuff like that. But it wasn't my house. It wasn't my phone to hang up. When the Lewises said, you have a call from your brother, then I took it. And I took it up the ass. And so any of you think that, that Charles Andrew Krueger was a good man, anybody who calls an athlete who actually just had his, actually at the time I just had my knee rebuilt, reconstructed and stuff like that. When you call an injured athlete at 3 o'clock in the morning and scream at them for half an hour to an hour, just raging out of your mind, drunk and on amphetamines and stuff like that, to a high school student, wasn't even 16 years old yet. You're an asshole. You're a complete asshole who deserves no respect from anybody, Charles Andrew Krueger. Any adult that calls and badgers and hammers, a 15-year-old boy in the home of other people, you're a complete fucking asshole. You think that the Lewises didn't know what an asshole you were and what an angel I was? Relative to you, Charles Andrew Krueger, I was an angel. I was a well-behaved kid. You were a misbehaving adult. One of Charlie's biggest problems is that he always wanted people to worship him. Even my mom used to kind of laugh and say he only had like this one 9-year-old girl that used to write him letters and stuff like that. It used to be kind of a real... He just never developed much of a fan club, because here's one of the reasons why. Dick O'Rourke, LaPorte, California. You see the beauty of genius, because I'm not drinking right now. The beauty of genius is I can tell a story, take you on down the train tracks, go on a tangent, and then smoothly bring you back. And what we're talking about is what an unfaithful jackass Charlie Krueger was. Past tense now. And let me tell you, he was until the very day he died. He never calmed down. He wouldn't even, a few years ago, he wouldn't even answer calls from his closest friends. I know, because I made those calls for him. It went straight to voicemail. He never called him back. I kept asking Jimmy Bedecker, who died a couple years ago and stuff like that, well, did he ever call you back, Jimmy? No. So anyway, this is Dick O'Rourke, LaPorte, California. One night, Charlie calls up Dick, gets him all excited, says, I'm on my way. I'm in like Sacramento or Yuba City or something like that. I'm heading your way. And he was drunk as shit and all hyped up. And he says, let's go fishing up at Lake so-and-so or whatever, man. Why don't you get your boat ready and stuff like that? So Dick, being a good friend, was all excited and stuff like that. Got up, got his clothes on, and got out there, and hooked up his boat trailer to his truck and everything, and was zipping up them winding those serpentine roads up in the Sierra Nevadas and stuff like that. And he went through one curve, and then that's when he noticed his boat passing him on the left. In his haste, he didn't be sure and crank down the last crank on the boat hook and stuff like that. In his haste to satisfy and to meet Charlie on time, which Charlie never showed up, never admitted that he was passed out, completely forgot about it, complete blackout drunk, forgot about it. And I'm pretty sure the insurance company ruled that it was Dick's fault, at least 50% on that boat. He had to eat half that boat, because the evidence would indicate that that little hook, crank up deal, he did not fully put the maximum torsion on it and stuff like that. But he was zipping through that curve, and all of a sudden he was meeting his boat on the other side. That's what will happen to you when you become the friend of Charlie Krueger. You're going to lose your ass.